Good morning, children. Welcome to Accountancy e-learning class, Chapter 2, Theory Base of Accounting, Accounting Standards and International Reporting Standards, IFRS. Okay. In previous video, we already discussed about the Theory Base of Accounting introduction part and Theory Base of Accounting, that principles gap, that is generally accepted accounting principle introduction we have already discussed. In that gap cases, it is generally accepted accounting principle. It is classified into two, that is principles based, it is classified assumptions or concept based, and principle based, accounting concepts or assumptions and accounting principles. Accounting concepts or assumptions, three that already we discussed, that is going concern concepts or assumption, consistency assumption or concepts, accrual concepts or assumption, that three already we discussed. Next classification, that is principle, accounting principles. 11 accounting principles are there. Okay, accounting principles cases that we can discuss today. So here 11 accounting principles are there. That is the fundamental accounting principles. Main basic accounting principles are these 11 basic accounting principles. Then one by one we can discuss in this video. Okay, so accounting entity or business principle, money measurement principle, accounting period principle, full disclosure principle, materiality principle, prudence or conservatism principle, cost concept or historical cost principle, matching concept or matching principle, dual aspect or duality principle, revenue recognition concept, verifiable objective concept. These are the different accounting principles. One by one we can check. First one is accounting entity or business entity principle. Accounting entity or business entity. Here, what is the meaning entity? Entity means here separation is there. Here we can say owner and business are separated. That is not linking together. Owner is entirely different from business. So we are always doing accounting process in whose point of view only? Business point of view only. That is a separation. This is the another concept, that is we can say principle we want to follow. So in recording the business transaction, always you should keep in your mind what is this principle you want to keep, that is a business entity concept, that is a business entity principle you want to keep in your mind. Why? This indicates that this principle indicates that business is considered a separate entity, entity distinct from its owner. The proprietor of the business is considered as a creditor of the business to the extent of his capital. His capital is considered as the liability of the firm, similar to borrowing from outsiders. The separate set of books of account kept and maintained for recording the business transactions. Transactions are to be recorded from the point of view of the business entity and not from the point of view of a proprietor or owner. So this is the point. So here it is explanation is like this. Then accounting according to the business entity principle, what is it indicates? Business is considered a separate entity distinct from its owner. So business is always a separation is there from its owner. Then here proprietor of the business, proprietor means owner of the business is considered as the creditor. According to this principle, we are what we are assuming, according to this principle, this owner is the creditor of the business. Already we discussed the meaning of a creditor, debtor. Liability means we are liable. Business point of view, what we want to think a business should be, business is liable towards its owner in the point of capital contribution. Who contributed capital? What is the meaning of capital? Capital means the amount contributed by the owner in the business is called a capital. So this owner contributed capital. So definitely here businesses should repay this capital to the owner in the winding of the period. So, such a point of view, what we can say, we are assuming that the owner is a separation, and business, the proprietor of the business is considered as a creditor of the business to the extent of its capital. So liability towards the owner up to what is the level, only up to the what is the capital contribution, up to that liability is there. Okay. So his capital is considered the liability of the firm, similar to the borrowing from outsiders. Like means suppose the business took loan from the bank. So definitely bank is our liability. So the business should repay this amount in a nearby future. That means after 1 year, or according to the period of loan base, long term period or short term period, that according to they should repay this loan. So this is the liability. Bank loan is the liability of the business. Same way, so what you want to consider, this business should repay this capital to the owner. So this is the liability. So you want to consider the business is considered as the creditor, proprietor is a creditor of the business to the extent of the capital. So that's a point. Proprietor is the creditor. In whose point of view? Business point of view. The his capital is considered as the liability of the firm. That's a point. So his capital, what you are considering? We are considering is the liability of the firm, similar to the borrowing from outside. The separate set of books of accounts kept and maintained the recording the business transaction. So definitely separate account we want to maintain, kept and maintained for recording the business transaction related with this proprietor. The transactions are recorded from the point of view of the business entity and not from the point of the view of the proprietor. The transactions definitely we are entering the books of account. This is a transaction entering time. So please keep this point in your mind. You always keep the point of view of a business entity and not from the point of the proprietor. So always a transaction, what any transaction happened in that business, what will happen to that business only you want to think. Don't think about this owner point of view. So that principle is indicating business entity principle or accounting entity principle. This is all transaction when you are entering time. So this point you want to keep. Owner is entirely different from its business. So business, so opposite actually that is correct. That is business is always separated from its owner. So all the transaction recording the books of account in whose point of view only? Business point of view only you want to think. Okay, that is the point. Now one more thing is related with this one. That is a personal transaction of the owner are kept separate. So books of account, the separate books of account you want to maintain for this owner's transactions. And for example, it is here one example is given: house, car, investment, personal income and expenditure of the proprietor should be kept separate from the accounts from the business entity. That is a separate you want to maintain. If a cash or goods is withdrawn by the proprietor, is considered his drawings. So any amount he contributed, we can call it as a capital. At the same time, if he withdraw, that means withdraw in the form of a cash or any goods. But who withdrawn? Withdrawn means taken. Proprietor. It is considered as a drawings. New word, is it? A drawings means any amount withdrawn by the owner for his personal use. That is called drawings. This drawings also you want to separately you want to maintain, and the firm may charge interest on it. So if a owner withdrawn any amount for his personal use, then firm can charge or business can charge interest for this drawings. Similarly, the proprietor has some other business entity, its accounts should be kept separately. If this assumption of a separated business entity is not followed, net profit and financial position of the business entity cannot be determined. So this is the point. Assumption is a separated business entity followed. Net profit or financial assumption is to be determined correctly. Okay. money measurement concept. Second one. Okay. According to this principle, only those transactions are recorded in the books of account which are measured in terms of money. That is, money measurement concept cases, only those transactions are recorded in the books of account which are measured in terms of money. That any transaction which can be measured in terms of money, that type of transactions only we can record in the books of account. That statement is related with the business money measurement principle. For example, sale of goods 1,000, purchase of goods from RAM rupees 5,000, purchase of machinery rupees 30,000, payment of salary, receipt of income, etc. are recorded in the books of account, as these are measurable in terms of money. Then on the other hand, all those transactions which cannot be measured in terms of money are not recorded and ignored in the books of account. Means any transaction which cannot be measured in terms of money, that are ignored or not recorded in the books of account. Example, appointment of a manager, that we can't measure in terms of money, or this harmonious employee-employee relationship, team of dedicated employees, these are not we can measure in terms of money, that are excluded from the books of account. That indicates a money measurement principle. Next principle, accounting period principle. Third principle, accounting period principle. Accounting period means, as per going concern principle, life of the business is fairly long, but the users of the financial account cannot be wait for financial statement till the liquidation of the business. So moreover, this is not a feasible proposition, as many users like management, bankers, financial institutions, creditors require accounting information at a regular interval so that they take appropriate decisions on time basis. Management requires information at a regular interval to review the account opening and financial performance, and to exercise the corrective actions if any. Bankers and financial institutions require accounting information to ensure the regularity of interest payment and safety of the funded loan. Similarly, the government needs accounting information on yearly basis to collect various types of taxes like income tax, sales tax, excess duty, etc. So third one is accounting period principle as per going concern principle. That means what is a going concern principle? Means businesses run for a long period of time, not liquidated nearby future. That is a going concern principle, isn't it? Like this going concern principle, life of the business is fairly long, but the users of accounting cannot wait for the financial statement till the liquidation of this business. So this is the as per the going concern concept case, a business will run for a long period. It will not be liquidated in the nearby future. Then this different users can't wait for the long period. In such cases, this is divided into small period basis. So entire life of the business is divided into small period. So each period based they preparing this financial statement. Financial statements are commonly preparing for annual basis, but quarterly, half yearly also you can prepare, but commonly accounting period is 1 year. Then this both ways they can follow. This calendar period or financial period ways they can follow. Calendar period means January 1st to 31st December, but most probably they are following, this business people are following this financial accounting period basis, that is starting from 1st April to 31st March of the next year, then this is the accounting period consideration. So for this specified period case, they are preparing the financial statements and analysis they are conducting, and report they are setting to the different users, isn't it? So here accounting period principle indicates a particular period basis preparation of a financial statement. That is the point. Okay, here first it is mentioned this as per the going concern principle, means this is the first assumption concept basis. So going businesses will run for a long period, going concern concepts. So as per the principle, what is the indicates the life of the business is fairly long, but the users of the accounting financial accounting cannot wait for the financial statement till the liquidation of the business. That is not possible. Moreover, this is not a feasible position, as many users like management, bankers, financial institutions and creditors require accounting information at a regular intervals. So these people, those are different users of this business, different users of the financial statement, they require this accounting information for their different user. So they require the regular interval basis this report they want, so that they may take the appropriate decision. Then only they can take the appropriate decision on this timely basis. So management requires information in the regular intervals to review the opening and financial performance of the existing corrective actions, if any. So here bankers and financial institutions require accounting information for what purpose? Ensure the regular interest payment and safety of this fund. So they also require annual report. Then only they are thinking about, okay, their loan fund amount, funded loan is safe in that our business. Then interest payment is regularly they require. So they are also demanding this financial information. And similarly, the government also need financial information on yearly basis. Understood? Yearly basis, that is required for what purpose? To collect the various taxes. So they require different yearly based information. So most probably this annual accounting period principle indicates the preparation of a financial statement for a specified period of time. So specified period is 1 year or half yearly or quarterly, but most probably it is followed in annual basis. Okay, that is accounting principle, accounting period principle. Next one is fourth one, full disclosure principle. Full disclosure principle ensures that financial statements make a complete, adequate and fair disclosure of all information which is relevant and significant to the users. Accounting service like investors, lenders, creditors, researchers, government and regulatory agencies. Full disclosure principle means this is actually one of the type of characteristics of the accounting information, means fully they want to disclose, then only reliability, this consistency of this information will come. So that is each and every information they must be disclosed in that financial statement. So this full disclosure principle requires that financial statement to make a complete, adequate and fair disclosure of all information which is relevant and significant to the users. Okay, users of accounting, that is accounting services. So different users are there. According to means for getting information correctly, this financial statements should be complete one and should be adequate and fair disclosure of all information which are relevant for them. So that type of financial statements they want to prepare, then only we can say that is a good financial statements. So this principle indicates that financial statement should be complete, adequate and fair disclosure of all information which is relevant and significant to the users of accounting information. Okay, who are the different users of accounting information? Investors are there, lenders, creditors, researchers, government, regulatory agents. Okay, so this point is once again it is another way is required that principle of full disclosure requires that all material facts which help in the appraisal of operating and financial performance of the organization must be disclosed in the financial statements and in footnotes. This is the point. So this requires this principle indicates that all material, all the relevant facts, very important things should mention in that financial statements. Then only this which help in the appraising of that operation, appraisal of a business operation, as well as operating and financial performance of this organization must be disclosed in the financial statements. Each and every facts should be disclosed in the financial statement, and in any other additional information is there, definitely it should be recorded in a footnote basis. So each and every information we are disclosed in this accounting financial statement, that is a full disclosure principle. Then in such a case only the users can analyze and interpret the financial statement to suit their objective. Then only these users can analyze and interpret these financial statements. Next, fifth one is the materiality principle. The principle of materiality requires that accounting of material facts in the books of account, and accounts need not present the facts which are immaterial while determining the income of enterprises. So according to the American Association, an item should be regarded as a material if there is a reason to believe and knowledge it would influence the decision of an informed investor. Thus an item is a material to one, may not be material to another. The materiality of an item depends on the nature and the amount involved. So this principle indicates materiality means according to the nature and the amount involved. So in very beginning course of rupees dealing in a business, their cases 1,000 items are very not the important items, means daily transactions, cost of rupees transactions in a business. So there that type of business cases 1,000 rupees is considering it 1,000 rupees transactions are considering it as a very cheapest transaction, and they are not included in the books of account. But daily transactions cases 1,000 rupees transactions business cases, then 100 rupees transaction is also very important. So according to the nature and the amount involved in that business cases, some transactions are very material and some are immaterial to them. So here this principle indicates that only disclose material facts, immaterial facts you can avoid. It means the cheapest transaction, silly items we can avoid and not include in the books of account. So that is the material facts only, real transaction based and only record in the books of account. That is the materiality principle. The principle of materiality requires that accounting of material facts in the books of accounts, and accountants need not present facts which are immaterial while determining the income of the enterprise. For finding the income of this enterprise, accountant need not to present the facts which are immaterial to the immaterial which are for determining the income of this business. So immaterial facts they can avoid, only relevant and important facts only they will need to record. Okay, this an item is sometimes some cases some items are material to certain person, but some may not be material to another. So already I told that example. So cost of rupees dealing business cases 1,000 rupees transactions are immaterial, but lakhs of rupees basis their 1,000 rupees are material to them. So according to the nature and amount involved basis, that depending the which one is material, which one is immaterial. So that this principle indicates that material facts only we want to implement. Immaterial facts that is no need to, is not to present the facts which are immaterial by determining the income of enterprises. Okay, next one is conservatism concept or prudence concept. Sixth one, this is the sixth point. Conservatism concept or prudence concept. Okay, this concept takes into consideration all prospective losses but not the prospective profit. It means profit should not be recorded until it realized, but all losses, even those which have remote possibility, are to be recorded in the books. For example, valuing the stock or closing stock at the cost or market value, whichever is lower, creating the provision of a doubtful debts, etc. This ensures that financial statements provide the real picture of the enterprise. Here, what is the conservatism concept? A prudence concept. This concept takes into consideration all prospective losses. Means in nearby future you are expecting any loss, definitely you can enter in the books of account. That is this principle indicates that any possibility of a loss will occur in the future, you can enter in the books of account, but any possibility of a gain you are noticing, then it will not record in the books of account. That is the prudence concept or conservatism concept. Okay, conservatism principle, here it is a principle only. So this concept or this principle indicates that takes into consideration that all prospective losses we will consider, but not all the prospective profit. It means the profit should not be recorded until it realized, meaning if it is a real profit occurred, then only we will enter in the books of account. Simply we are estimating, okay, we will get if, in future the extra 10,000 will get, you are expecting now, you can't enter in the books of account. But now you are expecting, okay, in future you will suffer loss of 10,000 rupees, okay, no problem, you can enter in the books of account. That's the point. It means the profit should not be recorded, it is realized. Realized means a real happening that time, so that is a really it is occurring, that is a realizing period. So really realizing period only you want to enter the profit case, but all losses, even those which have a remote possibility, are to be recorded in the books of account. Any possibilities of a chance of loss, then you can record in the books of account. Example, closing stock at a cost or market value, whichever is lower. So what is the closing stock? The unsold or remaining stock that is in the end of this financial period, that is called closing stock. This closing stock, how we are valuing? So actual cost means actual purchase cost, or market price means currently what is the price of that product in the market. Comparing these two, actual price comparing with the market price, whichever is lower only we are recording the books of account. Why? Which concept is which principle is following here? Prudence concept or prudence principle we are following in this one. Why? Because a chance of loss we are considering. That means any chance of profit we are not considering. Okay, if it is a profit, okay, we can record in the letter, but chance of loss is, that's why whichever is lower, valuation of a closing stock at a cost or market value, whichever is lower only we will consider. So this we considering on which basis only, which principle based only? Conservatism principle based. So certain provisions, or next example is creating provision for doubtful debts. You know the debtors is our current asset, means we sold the goods to customers on credit basis, that customer is our debtor. So all debtors are not become the good debtors, certain debtors become bad debts. Bad debts means they will not repay this amount to us, then in our case the loss will occur. So you are thinking in advance, okay, this how many debts become bad debts. So this is a chance of possibility of bad debts, that is called a provision of doubtful debts. That is a doubtful debts you are creating in advance, that is a provision for doubtful debts. This why it is a provision for doubtful debts we are creating on the basis of prudence concept basis, means a chance of loss you are anticipating and recording the books of account. So this concept ensures that the financial statement to provide the real picture of this of the enterprise. So this will help for ensuring the financial statement to provide the real picture of the enterprise. Next one is cost concept or historical cost principle. According to the cost concept, or assets are recorded in the books of account at their purchase price, which includes the cost of price, cost of purchase, transportation, installation, and for making the assets ready to use. So here cost concept or historical concept indicates that our assets we are recording the books of account at their purchase price. So all the assets we are recording in the books of account in the purchase price only. On this why it is recorded like this, on the basis of this principle. Which principle? Cost concept principle or historical cost principle based all assets we are recording in the original purchase price. Original purchase price includes original purchase. Suppose we purchased one machine in 2010 for rupees 5 lakh rupees. That is 5 lakh rupees plus transportation. Suppose you purchased from Delhi, then transportation cost from there to here. What is the total transportation cost we are adding? Then installation means you're appointing another person for installing that machine. So that installation cost. Then up to the asset is ready to use, any amount you spend. This total expenditure is called purchase cost. Okay, so that is the original purchase price of the asset. So 5 lakh, suppose transportation cost is 1 lakh rupees. So 5 lakh plus 1 lakh 6 lakh rupees. Installation rupees is 50,000. Then 6 lakh 50,000 is considering is a purchase price, not a 5 lakh. 5 lakh is the original cost. Then additional transportation, installation, total cost is 6 lakh 50,000. So this is 6 lakh 50,000 is considering it as a purchase price. That purchase price, but when you purchase this machinery in 2010. So in 2010 you purchased for this is 6 lakh 50,000 rupees. You spent 6 lakh 50,000 for this machinery. But currently after depreciation, with depreciation means a decrease in the value of asset continuously using time, wear and tear will occur. So reducing the value of asset. Now we are deducting this depreciation. Okay, every year we are deducting this depreciation, and finally what is the value, that only we will record in the books of account. But suppose in the market value, if you are selling that asset after this 10 year, you are selling that asset, then you will get sometimes 50,000 this 6 lakh 50, then it is getting only 1 lakh rupees only. Then this 1 lakh is the market price, but in the books of account it is showing sometimes 2 lakh 50,000. Understood? After deducting depreciation, what is the value? 2 lakh 50,000. But the current market price is 1 lakh rupees. So that you are not recording, only purchase cost we are according the books of account. So this is based on which concept? Cost concept principle or historical cost principle based we are doing. Okay, so that's the point. So machinery is a purchase. So here it is example is machinery is purchased at a cost of 40 lakh. 20,000 is paid for transportation cost, 10,000 as installation cost. So amount of this machinery recorded in the books of account is 4 lakh 30,000. This purchase price of the asset actually paid forms of basis of accounting for the asset. Okay, next one is it is also called historical cost, as it is the cost of asset have been paid for the acquisition and it does not change year after year despite of the change in its market price due to the price level change. In real practice, historical cost does not mean that asset will continue to be shown in the balance sheet several years. The cost of a purchase price, it will be reduced year after year by charging depreciation. That's the point. So in real practice, historical cost does not mean that asset will continue to show on the balance sheet of the several years. It's a cost per here as per the textbook example 4 lakh, that is the total cost. Every year 4 lakh, that is the we can't show in the balance sheet case. So definitely the value is reducing. It will reduce the year after year by charging which one? Charging depreciation. Depreciation means a decrease in the value of asset. So based on the useful life of the asset. So thus the asset is shown in the balance sheet in the books value, that is a cost less depreciation. So really we are showing the real practice is real value of asset we are showing in the books of account, original cost minus depreciation that we are showing in the books of account, not as per the market value. Okay. Now next eighth one is matching concept or matching principle. So according to the matching concept, the expenses incurred. So that's the point. Matching concept based expenses incurred in the accounting period should be matched with the revenues earned during the period. So what is the expenses during this period, during this year? What is the total expense should be matched with the total income during this period. That is the matching concept. There's the expenses and revenues must belong to the same accounting period to determine the correct profit of the accounting period. Both you want to consider, then only will get the correct profit of the accounting period you can consider. So since the accounts are prepared on the accrual basis, so the expenses incurred in the accounting period are matched with the revenue recognized in that period. Points should be taken off. Okay, so this is a matching concept. Next, ninth one is a dual aspect or duality principle. So that already we discussed in the beginning. So each transaction has a two aspect. One is a debit aspect and a credit aspect. So in the T format we are following in accounting based. That is a T format. T means like this is the left hand side is a debit side and a credit hand side is a right hand side is a credit side. Okay, left side debit and right side credit side. So that is a dual aspect is the basic principle of accounting on the basis of which the transactions are recorded in the books of account. Dual aspect based only transactions we are recording in the books of account. This concept says that every transaction has a two aspect. What are they? Debit aspect and credit debit and a credit of equal amount. So debit is equal to credit. Then for every debit there is a credit of equal amount in one or more accounts and vice versa. So debit is always equal to credit. The system of accounting is thus called the double entry system of account. That's why we are following double entry system of account. Debit is equal to credit. So example, Mohan started a business investing 1 lakh in cash. So what are the two aspects here? Every transaction has a two aspect. One is a debit and a credit aspect. Here Mohan started a business of rupees 1 lakh in cash. So capital brought in cash will increase capital brought in cash will increase the asset cash in the business by 1 lakh. At the same time capital will also the increase in the same amount. We find the two aspects, one receiving a benefit and another is yielding a benefit. That means here Mohan started a business of Mohan started a business invested 1 lakh rupees in cash. Two aspect is there. One is cash and another aspect is capital. Okay, two aspect is here. One is cash and another one is capital. Cash is the asset. So one side, so think in whose point of only? Business point of view only you want to think, not in owner's point of view. Business point of view, who contributed this amount? Owner contributed 1 lakh rupees contributed. So then what comes in? Cash comes in into the business. 1 lakh rupees cash comes in. So cash is increased. Okay. At the same time, capital also there. Capital means the amount contributed by the owner is called capital. Then capital also increased, isn't it? So capital means here amount of contribution also in 1 lakh rupees. But capital always we are saying that is a liability of the business. So that is entity principle based also we already discussed. Capital definitely repaid to the owner, isn't it? That is the liability of the business. One side asset is increased in the form of cash by 1 lakh rupees. Another side that is a liability also increased. So two aspect, cash and capital. So every transaction has like this two aspect is there, debit and credit aspect. Okay, so that is a dual aspect duality principle. Now 10th one, that is a revenue recognition concept. What is the 10th? Revenue recognition concept or realization concept. Okay, this is the 10th. So revenue recognition concept or realization concept. According to this principle, revenue is considered to have realized when the transaction have been entered and obligation to receive the amount has been established. So here According to this principle, revenue is considered to have been realized when the transaction has been entered. That means real revenue means we are considering it as a when is a revenue income is getting in the business. According to this principle, revenue we are considering it as realized when the transaction has been ended. Suppose a transaction we ended like sold goods of rupees 10,000, but the amount you are receiving after 1 month only. This 10,000 amount you are receiving after 1 month, but definitely you are recording this transaction today itself. So today you sent means you sold goods of rupees 10,000, but you are receiving amount in the next month. But when you are recording this, when you are considering this is a revenue, sale is the revenue. When you are considering this is a revenue, today itself we are considering it as a revenue because really transaction occurred. Whether the cash received or not, that is not a point. Okay. So the obligation to receive the amount has been established. In other words, when we receive the right to receive amount, then it is called the revenue is realized. For example, sales is made in March 2010 and receives amount in April 2010. Revenue of the sales should be recognized in February month when the goods sold. Then for example, the commission of for the March 2010, even if it is received in 2010, will take into the profit or loss the March 2010. Similarly, the rent for the April 2010 is received in advance 2010. It will be taken the profit and loss account of the financial year March 2011 only. Okay, here this is a point. The example is here like this. Sale made in March 2010 and receives the amount in 2010. So here sales made in end of this financial period, sales conducted, and receive in next financial year. Okay, but when it is realized happened, this is the March 2010, but definitely during this period you are recording in the books of account. Sale you are considering in the March period based you are considering. Revenue of this sales should be recognized in the February month when the goods is sold. This is not February, this is conducted in the March only. So we are considering in the March month itself we are considering this revenue. So when the, for example, commission for the March 2010, even if received in April 2010 will be taken in the profit and loss account of March 2010. Why? This is commission during which year? March 2010 is the end of this period. End of this period commission is collected. Okay, but occurred commission you agreed, but received in next financial year. But in which year's profit and loss account you will consider this commission? March 2010 you will consider this commission. Similarly, rent for 2010, next example, this is a different example. So rent for April 2010, actually this is the next financial year, but receive advance in 2010, it will be taken the financial account. So this is the advance received, amount received in March 2010, but actually the transaction will happen in April 2010, next financial year only this real transaction will occur. So when you will record this transaction, actually when realization occur, when it is realization occur in the next financial year, that is the closing date is March 2011. Okay, in that period only it will consider. That means real transaction occurring that time only we will consider it as a transaction. If whether the amount received in cash, advance or later, that is not a matter. Really it is occurring that time only, we will consider it as a revenue. So this is a revenue recognition concept. Okay, revenue recognition concept, according to this principle, revenue is considered to have been realized when the transaction has been entered and obligation to receive the amount has been established. Okay, now next last one, verifiable objective concept. So verifiable objective concept is this concept requires that accounting transactions should be recorded in an objective manner and they should be free from the personal bias of the accountant. So this is feasible only when each transaction is supported by documentary evidence or vouchers. We can avoid the personal bias. So what is required? So supported evidence is required or documentary evidence or vouchers are required there. Okay, then only we can accept this transaction. Supporting evidence vouchers are required. So that is a verifiable objective concept. Example, in this case, a purchase of goods for cash, there should be, if any items we purchasing cash, what will there? Cash memo is there. This cash memo considering it as a document. This is supported evidence. In case credit purchase of goods, what is there? Invoice is there. Copy of a delivery of challan. These are considering it as a evidence. Okay. So similarly, machine is purchased, the invoice of a machine and the receipt of payment should be examined. So these are the evidence, supportive evidence is required for entering this transaction. So what is verifiable objective concept? This concept requires that accounting transactions should be recorded in the objective manner and they should be free from the personal bias of accountant. This is feasible only when each transaction is supported by documentary evidence or vouchers. Okay, thank you.